Keep watching The Politics every Friday.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Okay, welcome to Talking Politics. My name is Robert Press. I'm a reporter, as you can see by my official New York City press card. I write for the Bronx Post and Park Just the Times. Both, like this show, are part of Parrot Media Corporation. I also contribute to the Co-op City News, have a blog at www.100%.blogspot.com, and Facebook pages 100% and What is Going On in Your Local Community Board. The views expressed on this show are that of the host, any guest, or anyone commenting at the bottom of the screen, and not necessarily that of Parrot Media Corporation. And we're going to have to fix that opening after this election, maybe January 1st, because some of those people aren't going to be there anymore. Like Joe Biden's gone, Eric Adams will be gone on January 1st, and I saw Letitia James. Well, we're going to get into her a little later, but let's go to the weather report. And it's going to be quick today. Friday, a high of 59, Saturday, 58, Sunday, 56, and 55 on Monday with rain possible for Halloween. Now, early voting begins tomorrow through Sunday, November 2nd, and here are the times. The polls are open for early voting. On Saturday, Sunday, Monday, October 25th, 26th, 27th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, October 28th and 29th, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Thursday, October 30th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Friday, October 31st, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, November 1st and 2nd, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Election Day is Tuesday, November 4th. The polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Now, I'll have more on the mayor's race and city council races later in the show, but when you go to vote, it is a secret ballot. Make sure no one tells you who to vote for, stands behind you when you are marking your ballot, and does not look at your ballot when you are putting it into the scanner. If there is a problem, ask for the coordinator or police officer at the poll site, or call the Board of Elections at 212-487-5400. That's 212-487-5400. That's the executive offices of the Board of Elections in Manhattan, and report any problem you see. Now, I will be going to poll sites myself to look for any problems that I may find, and I have found many over the years. Let's go into some world news. Gaza, President Trump insisted that the ceasefire is holding for now, despite an outbreak of violence that saw 2 IDF Israeli soldiers killed, and Israel briefly resumed airstrikes in Gaza. The president described Hamas as rambunctious, but suggested that the leadership isn't involved in the recent violence. Vice President Vance also played down the skirmish, stating that there would always be fits and starts in any lasting peace, but there's clearly a huge amount of work to be done. In Israel, U.S. envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to hold together Trump's latest deal after a little situation. That situation was the ceasefire's big test, as both Israel and Hamas claimed the other violated the terms of the budding peace. The U.S. negotiators and Netanyahu discussed the developments as both sides recommended recommitted to the terms of the ceasefire. Meanwhile, in Gaza, confusion abounds among Palestinians about the yellow line of demarcation of the Israeli military's pullback, with 3 people killed Monday near the line of fire, according to Reuters. Hamas is due to release another body of another hostage, and the Hamas leadership over the weekend said it lost communication with some of the fighters in Rafah, raising the possibility that the ceasefire may not be unilaterally enforced. Turn this over a little bit. And Vice President Vance met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday as the White House works to shore up the fragile ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. Netanyahu lauded Israel's relationship with the U.S. under Trump as a partnership like never before. I've been around quite a while, worked with many U.S. administrations, and I appreciate the partnerships and supports we've had, but this is something entirely different, Netanyahu said. Over to the Ukraine, Vladimir Putin, Russian president or prime minister, spokesman Dmitry Peskov, reiterated Trump's comments on wasted time, telling reporters that neither Trump nor Putin wants to waste time. Any meeting would require an extensive preparation. He also slammed alleged misinformation surrounding the meeting, adding that most of the gossip and speculation on the talks doesn't correspond to reality. Meanwhile, the NATO leader that there sounded optimistic, covering out of the meeting on Capitol Hill, telling reporters that Trump is the only one who can get this done. He said NATO would back the president's clear vision on bringing this war to a durable and lasting end. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, for his part, was already skeptical of any Putin-Trump summit, despite fears it will allow Russia to regroup. The Ukrainian leader agreed that Trump's proposal that a ceasefire to begin at the current front lines was a good compromise, though he's doubtful Putin will back the deal. FBI Director Kash Patel was in Brooklyn yesterday, announcing the indictment of 3 current and former NBA players accused of rigging poker games and sports bets with the mafia. The alleged scheme, featuring Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups and Manhattan Heat guard Terry Rozier, is rocking the basketball world, as it is accusing people of not playing. This is what happens when you get sports betting. Sometimes you can get it. It's a reminder of the Chicago Black Sox, where the team just, threw the World Series. House Speaker Mike Johnson said he won't bring the House back to vote to pay air traffic controllers, and other essential employees, saying the measure would be spiked in the Senate anyway. And Senate Democrats blocked the Republican-sponsored bill to pay active duty members of the military and other essential federal employees who have been required to work during the government's shutdown. Now, State Attorney General Letitia James is set to make her first court appearance in a mortgage fraud case today, which is the 3rd anniversary of Donald Trump to face which is the 3rd adversary of President Donald Trump to face a judge on federal charges in recent weeks. And what's this? Wait a minute. I have a text here. Today, I will appear before a judge on Trump's baseless indictment. Will you stand with me? Letitia James. Well, Letitia James, yeah, I'll stand with you when they take you up. Well, we'll see. Let's hope she has a fair trial. And House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries praised Zohan Madani for sticking with New York City Police Commissioner Justice Tisch. That's if she wants to stay. I doubt she'll stay under Madani, and suggested he'll make a long-awaited endorsement tomorrow. Yeah. It seems that ICE was in Lower Manhattan Tuesday afternoon as dozens of masked federal agents targeted street vendors on Canal Street, where they were met with droves of New Yorkers who joined in a spontaneous protest of the arrest. It's unclear how many street vendors the federal agents ultimately detained, though the video and eyewitness accounts suggested as many as 4 and likely several more. Agents responded, sending an armored vehicle to patrol the streets and agents with tactical gear. The amount of weapons they had on the street pointed at bystanders, something I've never seen in my life, said local city council members Christopher Marte, who heard about the agents on Canal Street and followed them with protesters to 26 Federal Plaza. I haven't seen this much military action in Lower Manhattan since the days after 9/11, he added. The raid on Canal Street took place 2 days after right-wing influencer Savannah Hernandez posted a video of herself on Canal Street saying 20 to 30 illegals in the area conducting business and tagging ICE to go check the corner out. It followed a sustained year-long campaign by city law enforcement to crack down on unlicensed vendors in the area. A number of vendors on Canal Street were arrested and fingerprinted in the course of the year-long effort, says Mohammed Atia, the managing director of the nonprofit advocacy group Street Vendors Project, opening a pathway for federal immigration authorities to step in without cooperation from local law enforcement once the arrest is lodged on the FBI's national database and cross-referenced with ICE database of immigrants. Everyone now is very skeptical and very terrified to go after this incident, Atia said. As news spread of the raid Tuesday evening, local elected officials gathered in Foley Square, including City Controller Brad Lander and Public Advocate Jamani Williams and a few other members of the City Council to denounce it. Street vendors are not a security threat, Lander said, who called on the NYPD to clarify what it will do going forward. Public Advocate Williams urged New Yorkers not to escalate in encounters with federal agents. Now, Mr. Malcolm Gray, who is working for the White Plains Road bid, this is a way to get rid of some of those street vendors on White Plains Road. Just call ICE on them. Okay, teen shootings. The number of teen gunshot victims and teen shooters has exploded since the state's controversial Raise the Age law went into effect in 2018. According to new data, as of October 18th, 92 people under 18 have been shot so far this year. 96% more than the 47 shot in 2018, the year before the legislation was enacted by the state legislature, and Governor Andrew Cuomo fully took effect, raising the age of criminal responsibility from 16 to 18. The 92 teen shootings this year, a 21% more than the 76 at this point last year, according to NYPD data through September 28th. The number of teen shooters surged even higher, climbing 143% with 73 arrested so far, compared to 30 in the same span in 2018, 3,000 more than the 71 busted in the same period last year, the data showed. Even more troubling is the shocking surge in teenage gunplay comes in shootings in New York City have dropped 20% overall so far this year compared to 2024. Shooting incidents overall, we need to somehow tweak the Raise the Age law where the shooters involved in incidents that don't get out of jail free card, said former NYPD Supervisor Chris Herman, now an assistant professor at John Jay College, professor of criminal justice. We want to see them get remanded for longer terms and for gun-related crimes, Herman said, but no politician is going to say, hey, maybe it's time to build a bigger, better juvenile jail. 18-year-old Damian Calhoun graphically illustrates the real-world impact on the flawed legislation, said NYPD Assistant Commissioner Kevin O'Connor, who retired in 2023. Calhoun was involved in a gunfight in Knight's Wagner houses in East Harlem on September 15th, wearing an ankle monitor for an attempted murder rap last year when he was 17. Police said he copped a plea to attempted murder for the prior crime and was released thanks to Raise the Age. Before the law, he could have been held on bail in Rikers. The case in East Harlem is another poster child for what's going on. O'Connor said you got an 18-year-old wearing an ankle monitor and who pleaded guilty to an attempted murder shooting, and he's out. If he pleaded guilty, why is he out? It's Raise the Age. It's a completely revolving door, O'Connor said. Calhoun and a 15-year-old who was shot in the mayhem but not identified because of his age were both arrested after the wild shootout where cops police said the 15-year-old was also no stranger to the criminal justice system, as he was charged with attempted murder after he allegedly shot someone who missed in Harlem on August 12th. Police said the two teens were charged with attempted murder for shooting cops. The older teen was released on $75,000 bail paid by his parents. Another 15-year-old was also shot in the melee Cop said. And I am going to stop here. I will come back with a quick statement on the school bus strike that's happening or supposed to happen. So let's go to a commercial right now, and I'll be back with that and the mayoral debate and mayoral race as well as local council races. Let's go to a commercial. Okay, I guess my producer will go to the commercial when he wants to. So let me quickly say that a group of school bus.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Okay, let's get back to that school bus possible strike. A group of school bus companies plan to stop serving to 150,000 city students and fire 12,000 unionized workers in a vicious contract standoff. The coalition will inform the state Monday of its plan to take hold November 1st as part of a state requirement that dictates companies must notify the State Department of Labor ahead of layoffs under the Working Agreement Adjustment and Restraining Notification laws. Bus companies Logan Transportation Company, Consolidated, and Pioneer, which serve Bronx students here, we see those buses on the streets, said their contracts with the city end in June and have been given month-to-month emergency contracts ever since. They claim that they need the 5-year contract extension or contract so they can buy new buses and rehabilitate those that are on the street and serve the students better. Now, let's get to the mayor's race. When you get your ballot, you will see 7 names on your ballot. You will see Zohan Kwani Mandami as the Democrat, Curtis A. Sliwa as the Republican, Irene Estrada as the Conservative, then Zohan Kwani Mandami in the Working Families Party, Curtis A. Sliwa in the Protect Animals for You Animal Lovers Party, Eric L. Adams, the current mayor, will be on the Safe and Affordable and End Anti-Semitism line. Joseph Hernandez will be on Quality of Life. Andrew M. Cuomo will be on Fight and Deliver, and Jim Walden on the Integrity line. Yes, Jim Walden and Eric Adams have declared that they are not running anymore, but they will still be on the ballot, and you can vote for them in case you're a diehard Democrat and don't want to vote for Zohan Mandami. Even though, we're not going to go there. As far as the debate, Wednesday night, Zohan Mandami broke a sweat literally during a knockdown, drag-out final mayoral debate Wednesday as he repeatedly pressed into quick acting and delivering straight answers. The normally smooth-talking Democratic Socialist nominee, Zohan Mandami, was repeatedly pinned in the corner by the unlikely tag team of Republican Curtis Sliwa and independent Democratic candidate Andrew Cuomo, who labeled Mandami's policies fantasies. Seizing the last opportunity to cut Mandami down to size at that time with 13 days before the election. Yes, Kevin, we'll see. The rivals wouldn't let Mandami non-answers slide off the LaGuardia College stage. Don't be a politician, Sliwa said when Mandami tried to dodge giving his opinion about important ballot questions, saying he was very appreciative of those measures that will be on the ballot, Mandami said. Don't The rocky debate wasn't a complete wash for Mandami, as much of it boiled down to whether the 34-year-old Queens Assemblyman's lack of experience was worse than Cuomo's arguably bad record as a 3-term governor. Now, he thinks he's a kid and he's going to knock him on his butt, Cuomo said about the president's assessment of Mandami, who the president has dubbed my little communist. Mandami looked shocked several times at Cuomo as Cuomo attacked him for posing as smiley picture with an anti-gay Ugandan deputy prime minister, Rebecca Kadaga, ripped him as a good actor who missed his true calling. He's a good actor. He missed his calling, Cuomo said as he launched one of several attacks on Mandami's signature rent freeze policies. Freeze the rent sounds great, yeah, but it affects only 25% of the number of housing units in the city. It's not a new idea. Bill de Blasio did it, Cuomo said, when Mandami, a harsh critic of Israel, tried to reassure Jewish voters, New Yorkers. He represented them too. Cuomo sarcastically injected, "You are the savior of Jewish people." Cuomo found himself dogged by his record during the COVID pandemic, and especially the sordid scandal that led him to resign in disgrace in 2021. Cuomo struggled to come up with a coherent answer about the 13 women who accused him of sexual harassment, one of whom, Charlotte Bennett, was in the audience as part of a Mandami organized stunt. Mandami cast Cuomo as Donald Trump's puppet and argued that longtime Cuomo's experience is precisely what led New Yorkers' woes on housing, the MTA, and deaths in nursing homes. Sweeler called Mandami's proposals fantasy. Your resume could fit on a cocktail napkin, Sweeler told Mandami at one point before snapping at Cuomo. You had your fill. You fled from being impeached, he yelled at Cuomo during another heated exchange. If it was Mandami's weakest performance on this cycle, said Andrew Kurtzman, a longtime communication specialist, both his opponents were in rare form and ganged up on him all night. At one point, they were literally laughing at him from both sides. Mandami is an extremely talented debater, but he seemed besides. The problem for Cuomo is that he needed both to have a bad night. If Sliwa's numbers don't fall, there's no way Cuomo can win. But Sliwa had a terrific night, Kurtzman said. He has grown as a candidate this year. It's impressive. Mandami, perhaps apprehensive of Sliwa's unwilling assistance, gave his rival some love when asked how he'd vote if it was ranked choice voting. Mandami said, myself, number one, and Curtis Sliwa, number two. He said, Sliwa said, oh, please don't be glaring me here, Zoran, Sliwa said to laughter. I had Sliwa as the winner of both debates, with Cuomo the loser in the first one and Mandami loser in the second one. Now, as far as Mandami, with a single word, Mandami clarified one of his more nebulous policy positions during the Wednesday night debate. The state lawmaker was asked if people who solicit sex should be arrested. No, the Democratic nominee told the debate moderator Earl Lewis. Mandami is a co-sponsor of state legislation that would fully decriminalize the sex trade. However, when asked about the issue on the campaign trail, he has refused to say whether he supports decriminalizing the purchase of sex. Last night's answer seemed to settle the front-runner's strained position on this matter. He had previously told reporters he did not support legalizing prostitution, which would involve state regulation. Instead, he said he would continue the policies of former Mayor Bill de Blasio, several district attorneys who stopped prosecuting sex workers. So we are going to get Bill de Blasio light with him. Now, former Governor Cuomo, though, was riding high Wednesday night. He performed well in the second and final New York City mayoral debate, managed to catch the end of the Knicks homeowner win courtside, and had an endorsement from Mayor Eric Adams in the pipeline. Then he went on Sid Rosenberg's controversial radio show and came crashing back to earth thanks to an Islamic-phobic comment that has drawn widespread condemnation during the home stretch of the campaign. Speaking on WABC Sid and Friends in the Morning, Cuomo spoke disparagingly of Assemblymember Zohan Mandami, his Democratic opponent, who would be the first Muslim mayor of New York, and how Mandami might manage a disaster. God forbid another 9/11. Can you imagine Mandami in that seat? Cuomo asked. He'd be cheering, Rosenberg replied. That's another problem, Cuomo said with a laugh. Throughout the campaign, opponents of Mandami have lobbed Islamophobic attacks against Cuomo. In fact, a new ad paid by the anti-Mandami super PAC for our city featured a picture of Mandami and Wajahad, the words jihad on New York City, is superimposed over the candidate. Cuomo infamously barely set foot in mosque during his time as governor, but he has ramped up his campaign appearances at House of Worship in recent weeks. He even launched Muslims for Cuomo and said that Mandami is not the representative of the Muslim New Yorkers. While Cuomo has consistently attacked Mandami for declining to comment the phrase globalize the infidel and accused him of fomenting anti-Semitism against New Yorkers, his comment on Thursday morning went a step further. Now, a campaign staffer for Zohran Mamdani apparently was caught on a hidden camera admitting who gives a shit, sorry for the word, what police officers think of the Democratic nominee. They're city employees. They get told what to do. Shut up. When do you get an opinion? Robert Akeley, a progressive political consultant and citywide canvass manager for the Mandami campaign, can be seen telling an undercover operative for conservative podcaster Steve Chowder about New York City cops' opinions in the front runner. He gets paid. Campaign Finance Board records show Mandami's campaign has paid Akeley around $40,000 so far this campaign as a consultant. And Andrew Cuomo on Sunday overstated when he admitted in a radio interview it would be very, very hard mathematically for him to win the New York mayoral race with Republican candidate Curtis Lee was still in the race. I get carried away with the rhetoric, Cuomo told reporters. I believe he's not a viable candidate, and I think I see his vote compressed greatly, even if he stays in the race. Now, candidate Curtis Lee ripped Andrew Cuomo and the Democratic Party when asked whether he's playing spoil in the race, saying he's the only one they're the only ones, meaning Cuomo and the Democratic Party, to blame if Zohran Mamdani wins. How come Cuomo's saying I can't win without Sliwa's votes? Where's your vote, Sliwa asked. The rise of the lefty Democrat socialist Mamdani is the result of Democrat self-destruction, Sliwa said. Who created Zohran Mamdani? He said, so far I'm supposed to help them. How come they don't help themselves? Andrew Cuomo failed in the Democratic primary. He even admitted, Sliwa said, go out and get your own votes. The Guardian Angel founder was steaming that the Democratic Governor Cuomo and others, including billionaire investor Bill Ackman, are accusing him of guaranteeing the election of Democratic Party nominee and the frontrunner Mamdani by splitting the anti-Mamdani vote between himself and Cuomo instead of stepping aside. Now, as I said, there was a New York Nets ringside thing where Andrew Cuomo was expecting, and New York City Mayor Adams has endorsed Andrew Cuomo outside the Carver Houses, a public housing complex in Harlem, just after last month, trashing this one-time foe as a snake and liar, proving the old adage that politics make strange bedfellows, and as I always say, you never know what's going to happen next in politics. And Mayor Eric Adams will leave office at the end of the year, return to private life, destination still unknown. Hanging over him are bills for lawyers who represented him in defending federal corruption charges related to related by the Campaign Finance Board for records relating to $10 million in matching funds he received for winning his 2021 campaign. The latest filing from the Legal Defense Fund shows unpaid attorney bills are now $4.5 million, up $1.3 million from his last statement. Most of it is owned to the firm of Adams' celebrity attorney, Eric Spiro. That includes a restatement of the expense previously reported at $301,024 which is now booked at $238.97. As for his his troubles are far from done, with the city campaign finance board threatening to claw back the $10 million that they gave matching funds for his now aborted campaign. I'm going to quickly run over a little bit because I want to get into the 13th council race. It appears that the 13th council race 2 years ago, Christy Marmorato became the first Republican to represent the Bronx in decades, and incumbent Christy Marmorato challenges Shirley Aldebol, and independent Democrat Joel Rivera will be on the November ballot. It's been nearly 2 years since the New York City Council member Christy Marmorato narrowly defeated then incumbent Democrat Marjorie Velazquez by 463 votes, positioning herself as a moderate. Marmorato tapped into local dissatisfaction with the status quo and concerns about public safety and encroaching development. Now, it appears that Zohan Mandani is helping raise funds for city council candidate Shirley Aldebol, a Bronx Democrat, who's the party's best shot at flipping a council seat, even though she only won less than 30% on election night in the Democratic primary. Have you met Shirley Aldebol? Reads a Monday email with contribution link from Mandami's campaign to his massive list. Let's get Shirley to the city council so she can help Zohan deliver a fair and safer, more affordable, and more that New Yorkers work for every day. Now, I received a couple of pieces of mail from Shirley Aldebol. Here's one, here's another, and I'm going to read. Shirley will work to make life more affordable and put money in our pockets. Push for policies that support workers and create good-paying union jobs. Ensure that every child gets the best education, regardless of zip codes. Advocate for affordable, accessible health care and mental health services. Deliver solutions that address the root cause of crime. But there's nothing else here on how she's going to do it. And this is paid for by laborers building a better New York. Now, it appears that Shirley Aldebol has, the incumbent, let's go to what's in the campaign finance board. Aldebol has raised $352,714, including $437 from unions like 32BJ and others. Christy Marmorato has raised she has, I don't have that figure here, unfortunately. And it is a big fight. The Democrats are trying to get that seat back. And let me read from Christy Marmorato's item that in her first term, Councilwoman Marmorato has secured over $200 million for district-wide sewerage and draining infrastructure, secured $50 million for parks, including upgrades to Loretto Playground, Waterbury Park, Brady Playground, and the Pelham Bay Ball Fields, and proudly funded and secured nearly $10 million for our schools. Passed legislation to fully recognize and honor Vietnam veterans in New York City, proudly funded our Throgs Neck Veterans Day Parade, and breakfast hosted by Permanently Services and District for our veterans, secured pre-K4 seats for PS 175 and 108, delivered $2.3 million for STEM labs, hydroponic classroom, sensory rooms, tech upgrades, and school security enhancements, and $4 million for a renovation of the City Island Library. For those of you out in City Island, that's you, John Doyle. Secured $12 million for the 45th to 49th precincts, helped shut down 20 plus illegal smoke shops, and partnered with the NYPD and Harbor Patrol to reduce noise on land and water, again for City Island, including installing cameras at Ferry Point Park to deter illegal activity, keep neighborhoods safe, distributed 10,000 plus meals and food packages to family in need of and continues to support local food pantries. Now, I have to say that is a very very well campaign, well, said councilwoman, and it is my opinion, and as I said, it is mine and not the opinion of Parrot Media, that people should reelect Christy Marmorato as the councilwoman in the 13th council district. And I'm going to close. There are 6 ballot proposals. I'm going to close with this. The proposals would change the New York State Constitution, changes the Constitution, requires statewide approval. Now, amendment number 1, or I should say Charter Proposal 1, is an amendment to allow Olympic Sports Complex in Essex County on state forest preserve land. Then the rest, the 2 through 6, are city. Number 2 is to fast track affordable housing, to build more affordable housing across the city. Number 3 is a review of modest housing and infrastructure project to simplify it, the review. 4 is to establish an affordable housing appeals board with council, borough, and citywide representation. Number 5, create a digital map to modernize city operations. Number 6 is to move local elections to presidential years to increase voter participation. I don't care how you vote on these, but number 6, you should vote no, because number 6 would just make it from president down or governor down, the elections, and that is a terrible thing to do in the city. The city should have its own separate elections, and I'm going to close with that. Number 2 through 4 affects the city council. They're saying, and they have sent out mailings to say, vote against number 2 through 4. Here's some of the mailings that I received, okay, which cost the city council in postage over $2 million. All right. Now, these are people who voted against your local councilwoman in the 13th council district for the Bally's Casino. And as a subject of Bally's Casino, the current councilwoman has voted against or been against the Bally's Casino because you're building a casino on top of toxic waste, which is covered with a concrete cover. It appears that Shirley Aldable, her opponent, has flip-flopped on the measure, and first at the one debate or one community forum that she attended, she said she was against it. And now she says it would bring more jobs, and she's for the Bally's Casino. Of course, because that's the Democratic Party of the Bronx who are backing it. And I'm going to close with that and say thank you for watching. I know I ran over, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week, which will be the Friday before Election Day, with some more news about the election. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.